friends are heathens, take it slow.
What is going on, everyone? I am closing the door. Now, I am making a slight modification to my computer. My Blu-ray drive that I bought back in 2008, it's a Blu-ray writer, but I bought that back in 2008. I didn't at the time know that I was going to be switching to no more physical media, so when I was building this computer, I built it in. I have since switched to physical media, and the drive hasn't been connected to the computer since 2015 when I built this system into this case. This was part of my this case was used for my old media server, the one that I built back in 2008, and when I built this new machine, I didn't have the right cable to connect the Blu-ray drive, and I just said, you know what, screw it, I don't care. However, recently, actually before I sold my house, I came across the correct cable, and I was able to jack it, and while I am getting ready to I have made the decision I am going to be flying. I will not be buying another car and driving back to Colorado. I am going to be flying back, and to get ready for that, I am going through my things and reducing what I am going to be shipping as much as possible. Several things are going to be thrown away. Obviously, I have the money to pay for the shipping. It's just that I don't want to. So what I am going to be doing is cost saving and reducing the amount of money I'm going to have to spend as much as possible. I do need to get that USB chip out before I try to pull that through the I/O shield. Anyways, as I was going through my things, I found that cable. I already have the modified power SATA cable that I need, so it's just a matter of actually putting the wires where they need to go, and to do that I actually have to pull up the motherboard. So that is the process that I'm in the middle of right now, but I figured I might as well go ahead and do a daily vlog today, let you guys know what's up. Not that much has changed, but like I said, I'm not going to be driving. I wanted to buy another car. I was looking at a BMW 325i. It was also a 5-speed. I was kind of excited about it, but eventually it just became apparent that I should be flying. I shouldn't bother trying to drive. The risk is too high. What I really wanted to do was to drive, and I think that was allowing me to cloud my decision-making ability. So I ended up just saying, screw it. I'm going to be getting my plane tickets this weekend. I'm waiting to hear back about one more arrangement before I actually buy the tickets, because I'm not sure. I may still be going to Houston before flying to Colorado, but that said, I won't know until this weekend, and so I said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to go ahead and start reducing the things that I need to actually ship. Before I left Tennessee, I did not actually do that great of a job of packing because I didn't think that it would matter. I mean, I was driving and it didn't matter how, as long as everything fit into the car, and I could still see out of the car, which I could, but as long as I could still see out of the car, it wouldn't really matter that much how much stuff was in the car. Even though I'm doing this reduction now, this is not going to be the final reduction in my property. That will happen right before I leave for Colorado. Right before I leave for Japan. But That should be it. Yep, that's going to be it right there. Nice and easy. Just setting that stuff out of the way for right now. But right before I leave for Japan, I will actually do a final property reduction. Just getting the number of things that I own down to what I can literally fly with. And if I can't fly with it, I won't own it. I will be dumping it, for lack of a better term. And what did this go to? I can't remember. I took it out. Well, I didn't take it out. I just haven't been using it. I want to say that this is for the touch screen up front. So I am going to, yeah, the front of this case has a touch screen. It's a pretty awesome case. I don't use it the way that I used to, but when I was building this machine, I knew I was going to be spending another large amount of money on it, and I personally didn't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money on a case. As a matter of fact, I didn't want to spend any money on a case, so I didn't. I got cheap and avoided the cost of the case entirely. Which brings us to where we are today. That said, see, I'm almost wondering if I could just run a regular SATA power cable, if I even want to. A lot of stuff still going on. A lot of decisions still need to be made, but as far as my road trip is concerned, my road trip is over. As sad as it is for me to say that, I think the smartest decision is to go ahead and call it over and just move on, which is disappointing and marginally embarrassing. Nobody really likes to admit to failure. I certainly don't. It is not a happy moment for me by any stretch of the imagination, but I will survive, as they say. So it's just a matter of rolling forward. Yeah, this is the right port. Got to make sure I have a modular power supply, and I wanted to make sure that I was plugging into the right port, which, like most modular power supplies, this one you cannot plug it in, so to say, wrong. But at the same time, I wanted to try to be a little bit careful. And look at that. That's something that was sitting underneath the motherboard. Nice. Anyways, so embarrassment aside, I am just going to go ahead and call it done. It is what it is. I would have loved to have finished the road trip. I'm not too concerned about pride or anything like that. I've made several road trips in the past. I've never failed this bad. This is the first time that I was on a road trip and I freaking forgot to check the oil when I stopped for gas. And then on top of that, I forgot to check the oil 3 times when I stopped for gas. Like, what the hell was I thinking? I'm not entirely sure what was up with that. I guess I was just really excited. As I said in the video, I think yesterday, it was just a combination of excitement and bad decision making, which there's really not a whole lot of defense for. You either make good decisions or you don't, and I didn't make a good decision, and I am now dealing with the consequences of that, which is spending more money than I wanted to have to spend. So it is what it is, and I'll obviously get through this. I'll move forward, blah blah blah. But I'm disappointed. You know, I had an expectation set in my head, and I couldn't meet that expectation because of a failure on my part. So it's a little disheartening, to say the least. Alrighty then, we are good. There we go. It wasn't wasn't lining up at first, and now it is lined up. So I'm going to nice, just hit my head on the TV, you know, it is what it is. Alright, so I'm going to sink some of these screws to hold this system in place. Yay, it looks like this is going to be alright. Which is fantastic. I'll have a Blu-ray drive again. Not that I freaking use it, but I'll have it again. I figure if it's on the computer, I should be utilizing it. I don't have, at least I don't think that I have the spacer plate to block off the opening for the optical drive, so I'm leaving the optical drive in there. And with that said, that optical drive should be functioning if it's in the case. So that is my thought process on that. I know, more insanity from the big scary guy, but it is what it is. That said, I was able to talk to some of my family in Colorado yesterday. They're getting pretty excited. Obviously, I'm pretty excited. Nobody's, like I said yesterday, really the only thing that I'm upset about is that I had planned on doing a bunch of things with the car with my little brother. My little brother does not know how to drive a manual transmission, so that would have been a really cool opportunity to do a video on how to drive a manual, which pretty much every car vlogger on YouTube has done a video on how to drive a manual, but and while it certainly wouldn't be anything new for me to do, or you know, nothing in my process is going to be groundbreaking or new or anything like that, it still would have been something fun that I could do with my little brother, and I don't have that opportunity anymore because the car is dead. And that's disappointing for me. That's disheartening for me, and that's a source of disappointment. You know, there was some more light modifications that I wanted to do to the Civic, and I was pretty excited about those. I had everything that I needed to do for those modifications, but again, I mean, with the car being dead, I can't do that anymore. Like I said yesterday, we just left the car on the side of the road. There wasn't a point. I'm pretty much justified in that decision, based on, like, I bothered to look for other engines for the car, but on short notice, not being able to really do an in-depth search on finding another motor, most of what I'm finding is in like the ridiculous price range of like $600 to $1,000 for a little four-cylinder Honda motor from the late 90s, and that's just like, that's a ridiculous cost that I can't justify. I could buy a new car, or another car, new, I could buy another car for much less than that and be alright, but there's no way that I'm going to justify spending $600 to $1,000 on another engine for that car. And then on top of that, I would still have to install said engine, which I can't really do because I don't have the tools for that. So it was a rather annoying process to go through, but that said, it's pretty much done and over with. Okay, that's what I was looking for right there. Sorry, I was looking for the key on the motherboard to tell me which ports I needed to be using to connect my hard drives. The motherboard is obviously labeled. I just needed to go through that label and make sure that I was connecting to the right places. So, don't know how well this one's going to work. I'm going to try to tuck this SATA cable underneath the hard drive rack, but anyways, I mean, nobody's really totally broken up over the loss of the Civic. It's more the loss of the opportunities, and that's what sucks the most. So, but you know, those are things that we get over and we just move on from, and that's certainly going to happen here. So, hopefully, it will be no big deal. I hate the loss of time. The loss of things that I can do with my little brother. Alec is, of course, interested in cars. He's not interested in them in the same way that I am, and we certainly have different tastes in cars, but he certainly does, or at least I figured he would enjoy the aspect of working on some, even if it wasn't a very great car. It would still be fun to do some things on the car that he doesn't have the ability to do as it is. When that's one of the downsides to having a brand new car. There's a mindset that you don't want to do anything to it because you're just going to reduce the reliability of that car. Which to a point is actually true, and I can't or won't argue that point because certainly, and I'm not a huge fan of some specific auto manufacturers, but certainly they've attempted to put in some research time on what's going to make their vehicles last the longest for the largest number of users. And, you know, when you change their designs, things happen. You know, the car isn't as reliable as it maybe was designed to be. And so there's some justification in the thought process of, you know, it's a brand new vehicle, I don't want to do anything to it because that's going to reduce the reliability of it. You know, I get it. I don't have that problem because I always buy used vehicles. I don't buy new cars. When I was kind of in the position to go ahead and buy a new car, I didn't want one for sure because I knew that what I really wanted to do was start planning for a trip to Japan. Certainly when I had the money to go and for sure like pay cash for a brand new car, that money was already earmarked for Japan, so obviously we're not going to be buying a new car that way. And so it's just it was just never a thing. It was never an appropriate move or decision to make to buy a new car for me anyways. And even if I could, you know, I was talking to Alec about this yesterday, even if I could, I wouldn't really want to because I'm an ambitious person, and if I had that kind of money lying around, I would want to put it to something else that would kind of further where I want to be in life. And I can't do that with a new car. You know, a new car might be a whole lot of fun to own and drive, and yay, you know, I've got a brand new car, I won't have to work on it. But, you know, for me, it's where's the fun in that, you know? I've spent a ton of money. It doesn't further me in any way. It just makes me look like I have a brand new car. Whoop-de-doo. Anybody that knows me knows that I don't give a crap what people think about me or whatever it is that I'm driving. I just, I want a good time, and I'm going to get that regardless. So, blah, it is what it is. I am almost done with this. I'm trying to wire in the last of the things. That I want in this case, and here we go. I'm down to the switches and things of that nature, so trying to get this all set up. Some of these wires are a little bit more annoying than I think they needed to be, but I'll get it done. Last one is actually the power button, and that's going right there. Yay. Alright, so I've got the hard drives wired back in. These things won't be going back. Yay, so a little bit more progress on the computer. Anyways, I am going to be going out bowling with my dad tonight. I'm kind of excited about that. Obviously some more time to spend with the family before I disappear, which is kind of important. Definitely to me anyways. So I'm excited about that. I'm not a huge bowler, so I'm not expecting a fantastic score or anything like that. But it's pretty exciting all the way around. Spending time with my dad I always enjoy, so he's a pretty awesome guy. Trying to wrap this up as quickly as possible. Give you guys a little bit of attention anyways. But we're getting there, slowly but surely. I think we're just down to the graphics card now. And hopefully, obviously, the computer will come back online. Kind of embarrassing when the computer doesn't come back online. Kind of like when your car breaks down on a road trip and you're a mechanic. Embarrassing like that. But we shall see. Anything can happen. And I'm going to try to set these set screws real quick, and then we'll be able to throw the switch. And that should be about it. Let's see if it comes back on. Hey, at least the computer is making some noise and doing stuff. That's a start. And let's see what happens from here. Hopefully this is going to come online and I'll be real happy again, because I kind of need to edit this video before I go online. Before I put it online. I could always upload it via the cell phone, but then I don't really have a whole lot of video editing options, so kind of avoiding that, or hoping to avoid that. And it does look like it is going to boot back up, so happy day. Fantastic. Everything is as it should be, except the computer also was undergoing an update process that I completely forgot about. Fun! Alright, anyways, I'm pretty much done. I'm going to be doing some stuff on the computer now anyways, so I will catch back up with you guys tomorrow, I hope, and hopefully I have some interesting stuff for you guys tomorrow. But I will let you guys know another time. See you guys later. Bye.